Hi guys, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop. Well, to start out, I've had a few viewers get a hold of me and tell me to turn my camera sideways. For some reason they said it's be better to view it. I don't know, but I don't have a camera. I'm using a Samsung Tab 4 little tablet. I've got a few years ago for doing my Craigslist sales and buying stuff. So this one we're going to shoot with the camera sideways and see what kind of comments I get. If it's worse, better, let me know, and I'll have to make a new mount for my tablet so I can keep it sideways without it falling out of the bracket that I built. This morning I'm going to set this new engine on the snapper and show you what I meant by if you don't get the exact engine, you're going to have to do a little bit of fabricating, because I've got a little bit to do. What do you need a fender for anyway? You can just cut that sucker off. Let me show you what I had to do. I tried to set it on in different orientations and turning it, and I just couldn't find a spot that it fit right because it was hitting on that fender for one thing. So what I did is I took the old engine in a cardboard template. I cut a 1-inch hole in the center for the crank. I turned the engine upside down, slid it on there, and I drew up through the holes with a cut-off short pencil and marked the bolt pattern. And then I cut that out. I can lay that on the tractor and I can mark the front, what the front of the engine has to be. Then I took the new engine, I laid that on its side, I took the drive disc off and I slid this on the new engine and turned it until the bolt pattern lined up. Then I knew which way has to be the front on the new engine, because I found out you can't really tell by looking, but once you draw this template and you start turning it on the deck of the tractor, there's only one way it'll fit, because the bolt pattern in the front is smaller than the bolt pattern in the back. So you can't just put the engine on however it fits the best. It has to go one way. Now let me show you the problem I'm having with this and what I'm going to have to do to get this new engine on this thing. Okay, here's the deck where the engine's got to set. Or actually, I guess they call it the rear case, but whatever you want to call it, this is where it's got to go. And let me grab it. Now to make this a little easier, I cut off some studs and screwed them up into the bottom of the block so they'll slide into the holes when I get it in the right spot. That's how it's got to fit. I've got a little bit of clearance right here between the air breather and the gas tank. Once the engine drops in, it'll pull away a little bit. But where it's hitting is right here on the top of this fender. Why they call this a fender, I'm not really sure. Why it's on there, I'm not sure. It does have holes right here and on the other side, and I'm thinking they use that for lifting. I don't know, maybe they got some kind of assembly line to use these. I can't think of any other reason they would be sticking up. Now if it was only sticking up about a ½ an inch, what I've done on some machines in the past is I'll machine up a bar of steel, drill the right size hole through it, and cut them off into thick washers. And I'll stick 4 of them underneath the engine to make it sit flat and clear some of the obstacles that you have that's in your way. This is sticking up more than an inch. I don't think I want it up that high. So we're going to mark this, take it off, and cut it. Now I don't think I want to bore you to death by tearing this thing apart on camera, but I did take a magic marker and I drew right along the top of this. I'll tear it apart, take it to work, we'll cut that off, belt sand it, maybe throw some paint on it, and put her back together. Like I said, I don't want to bore you to death by tearing this thing apart. I already did that on previous videos. If you're new, you just found this video, subscribe to my channel and back up and watch the entire build. I think there's 5 videos that covers completely rebuilding this tractor. I mean, I had it completely stripped. If you're not new to it, thanks for watching. When I get that cover cut and back on there, I'm going to mount up the engine. I will do that on a video. I want to show you how to properly adjust the distance between the drive disc and the clutch disc. I've had one guy write in and said he put a new clutch disc on his tractor and now it's locked up, it won't do anything. It's like it's in park, no matter where he shifts it or tries to move it. Well, I think what's happened is I called him, sent his number, I called him and talked to him, and he said he bought it used, and when he bought it, the clutch disc was wore right down to, he said, man, almost to the aluminum. So he says, I'm going to put a new one on. So he did. I think what happened is the original owner, let me tip this down. There. I think the original owner took the drive disc on the engine because the clutch disc was wearing down so much, loosened up these 2 set screws under here and slid the disc down to get the proper distance again between the wore out clutch and the drive disc. And when you have it that close and you put a brand new clutch on it, it's locked up all the time. There is no neutral anymore. So I told him to check that out. I've got a book in the house that tells you the proper clearance between the two when it's sitting there in neutral. I don't remember what it is right now, but I'll explain all that when I put the engine on. Another note, I had a lot of comments on where do you buy your engines from? Well, I called the company to ask them if can I put your name online and do a little advertising for you. And she said, well, I can't answer that. You're going to have to call Monday and talk to the boss. Well, this is Saturday morning. I'll call him Monday and see if I can get his permission. I don't know why in the world he would say no. I will tell you a little bit about the company right now. It is strictly a wholesale company. They do not and will not sell retail. They're in Missouri. Missouri has some very stringent laws on wholesale dealers. They just passed a new one, and they have to have us, the buyers, redo all our paperwork every 3 years now. Apparently they had some problems with all the companies going out of business today. Somebody got a hold of an old sales tax license and was buying stuff from them and not paying the sales tax. And they got in a little trouble over that. So now everything has to be verified every 3 years. You have to have a registered business and you have to have an active sales tax license. And what they mean by that, it has to have history on it. You have to have been paying in every quarter your taxes to show that you are an active business. A lot of red tape you got to go through. But if you do have a business, you got a license in the state that you're in, it is worth going through all the loops you got to jump, because I've never found any place I could buy engines this cheap. So let's get on, and I'll probably be back. I'm going to be gone today. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe I can get this thing tore apart and take it to work with me Monday and get that cut off. If it does give me a problem because I cut it, I do have an extra fender, they call them, from the other tractor I tore apart. I got a bunch of extra parts here, so it isn't worrying me too much of cutting this off to see what's going to happen. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I got a lot of shows out there. I've got a lot of views. Just don't have a lot of subscribers. Come on, you guys, punch that button. It's free. And if you need any help with your snapper, send me an email at jimsfixitshop@gmail.com. No comma on Jim's. That really tends to screw up computers. Send me your phone number and I'll call you. It's a little easier than talking via the emails. Pictures always help. And I know we can get this thing running. No doubt in my mind. If you want to leave a comment on the video, go ahead. Everybody else can read them, but I don't know if I'd leave my phone number. So that, send me on an email and I'll call you back. If you need any help, just holler. It's Jim's Fix It Shop or jnrwoodworking2@gmail.com. And till next time, work safe, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon.